They were wrong to play scared on that. Didn't know that at the time. Know it now.
Pause.
Admit it.
Yes, they did. Hey, you know who else said that? My doctor. Guess where he said it? Here on this show. On shows that were suspended. This isn't about Monday morning quarterbacking. It's not about a victory lap. Actual damage was done. Here is Chris Cuomo on Patrick Bet-David's show, who does a very good job hosting, talking now about taking ivermectin. Here's the issue. I've always said you're not just judged by the information that you presented. History will judge you by the information that was available at that time. So if someone says, you know what, I've had a conversion, or you know what, I've seen the light, okay. Do you acknowledge that this information was available at that time regarding ivermectin, regarding COVID, regarding lockdowns? And then you have to answer for why did you not present it? That's my issue. Let's roll this clip and we'll just go through it point by point.
I'll tell you something else that's going to get you a lot of hits. I am taking a, what do they call it? Like a regular dose, you know, whatever. They're trying to build up of ivermectin. Ivermectin was a boogeyman early on in COVID.
You couldn't talk about it.
That was wrong. We were given bad information about ivermectin. The real question is why? Everyone's going to say Joe Rogan was right. No, Joe Rogan was saying, yeah, he was right. But that's not what matters. What matters is...
That does matter.
Yeah.
That does matter.
Big time.
Asshole. And the reason that it matters is because you guys literally changed the color tone of the Joe Rogan video and ran headlines saying that he was taking horse dewormer when it has been prescribed. I don't know if it's overall to hundreds of millions of people. I don't have the number in front of me. No, it does matter. It does matter because you guys talk about this disparity of power all the time. CNN, mainstream networks, and of course everyone else jumped on it, New York Post, Washington Post. Joe Rogan was right, and it wasn't just Joe Rogan who was right. The doctors on his show were right. You tried to destroy his credibility proactively while the information confirming that he was correct, which you'll go on to admit in a moment, was available to you.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. It matters.
It took 5 minutes to find this out. 5 minutes of research would have found this out. And by the way, not only Joe Rogan and the doctors that were on his show were right. The doctors that were not on his show, that were across America saying, what is going on with this, were right. Because he's going to go on to say that he's talked to doctors now and he understands now.
Doctors on this show.
Yeah.
Doctors on this show.
Were right. We were right.
We were suspended, by the way. We were suspended on YouTube. We were suspended on YouTube for the discussion of ivermectin with active doctors.
Yes.
And CNN was involved in the calling for banning of misinformation.
Yeah.
There needs to be some kind of restitution. That's the issue.
He can't say why. He cannot say, why was this given to us? He was part of the problem. He is part of the why. Because he's like, oh, it was a boogeyman. We were given bad information. False. You weren't given bad information. You chose to only listen to people who were the science. Second, why was it given to you? Why was that hidden from you? It wasn't.
It was not.
You were part of the people hiding it from the American people, Chris.
It sounds a lot like, I was just doing my job. No, I'm doing mine. If this were an action film. Right. Let's continue with the clip.
The entire clinical community knew that ivermectin couldn't hurt you. They knew it, Patrick. I know they knew it. How do I know? Because now I'm doing nothing but talking to these clinicians.
Pause. What were you doing? What were you doing then as a journalist? So if you're a journalist now, you weren't then.
Yeah.
That's the and I'm sure he's not a bad guy, by the way. The accusations of the sexual harassment, it seem like they're trumped up. I'm never going to attack a guy because of some bogus claims made by leftists who don't like him. Okay. Are you a journalist now or were you a journalist then? You need to clarify. You don't get to gain credibility if you fail to acknowledge that you blew your credibility then on purpose. He just said, all of these clinicians. I know that now because I'm talking to them. You had a show on primetime on CNN. Yeah. You didn't talk to them then. And by the way, you did segment after segment after segment about having misinformation removed from social media while we and Joe Rogan were talking to clinicians. Next, let's keep rolling this.
Were overwhelmed by COVID and they weren't saying anything. Not that they were hiding anything, but it's cheap. It's not owned by anybody and it's used as an antimicrobial, antiviral, and all of these different ways.
Sorry. I thought that sounded like everyone in this room live on air in 2020. Continue.
long time.
For malaria for over almost 20 years.
Yeah. So, and my doctor, who is now my doctor, was using it during COVID on her family and on patients, and it was working for them. So they were wrong to play scared on that. Didn't know that at the time. Know it now.
Pause.
Admit it.
Yes, they did. Hey, you know who else said that? My doctor. Guess where he said it? Here on this show. On shows that were suspended. This isn't about Monday morning quarterbacking. It's not about a victory lap. Actual damage was done.
Yes.
If it was about saving lives, and you're now saying, we now know that this works, we now know that it's effective, and at that moment in time, you believed that 100 billion people were going to die. Of course, don't fact check me. That's hyperbole. Why didn't you interview one? Why didn't you provide equal time to said clinicians? We did. You can't move on and say, I know it now, without any kind of culpability. Let's continue.
Now, reporting on it now. Because I think that's the job. The idea that you were a vaccine proponent. Why wouldn't I have been a vaccine
Nobody's
proponent?
worried about that at this particular moment.
Now, there are questions. Oh, no, but I knew at the time. No, you didn't. What you knew was that there were people telling you to be resistant to what the government was telling you to do.
No, this is the issue, right? They were wrong. It was scary. They means you. They means you when you're talking about the legacy media being wrong. No, you didn't. Let me tell you what you know. Okay, good. Tell us what we know so that you can still have a career online. Oh, what we know is we were just telling people to mistrust the government. Or what we knew then, again, were the clinicians you ignored, the doctors you ignored.
Yeah.
One of the creators of the mRNA vaccine injection himself, who you ignored. All you knew was you didn't trust. Oh, that made it a lot easier for you to accuse people of being conspiracy theorists for saying that, hey, ivermectin is a no-cost, low-risk potential prophylactic or potential antiviral that could help speed up or lower the risk of hospitalization. You're saying now it's okay. No, that's not what we know now. It was known then. It was silenced then. It's not that it wasn't known. It was actively suppressed.
Yeah.
Just like Fauci actively suppressed the idea that you couldn't catch AIDS from your parents on a cereal box. You can read it back then. He knew he was spending time in gay bathhouses, but he told the public, hey, 1 in 5 heterosexual couples in the United States will be affected by AIDS. The information was available to Fauci back then. People died because of political correctness. The information was available to Chris Cuomo, to Don Lemon, to Brian Stelter, to the entire legacy media. This information not only was available to everyone then, they actively suppressed it at the cost of human life.
Yeah.
He said resistive too, and it wasn't resistive to the government. It was skeptical of the government, and all that crap made people resistive.
Yeah.
And what do you expect?
Yeah.
Definitely resistant. So Chris has a choice to make. He is either an idiot or an accomplice. He has to choose one of those two things. He's an idiot and doesn't know how to do his job, so he didn't know about it, or he did know about it and he was an accomplice. And he's an accomplice because he hated Donald Trump so much that he had to do something to make him look bad. Let's not act like this is just on Joe Rogan.
Right.
This was all targeted at Donald Trump with a roaring economy, thinking this is our ticket to get him out of office. If he mishandled this in any way possible, we are going to make hay out of it and he's going to be gone. That's what was happening. They put your life on the line to make sure that Donald Trump couldn't win an election. Mm-hmm. That was it. So, Chris, pick a lane. Idiot or accomplice, let us know.
By the way, it's the same exact network that covered the Vox Adpocalypse. Hey, the only reason that we survived here after being demonetized was because there are more of you than them. Than them, I mean CNN, viewers. And I know you don't have a tough act to follow as far as comparing yourself to that. The only reason that Joe Rogan's entire career wasn't destroyed is because at that point he had more power than them, meaning you. And I know that this will result in some kind of drama where he'll be like, I want to have you on the show. Look, I don't think that Chris Cuomo is a bad guy. If he wants to come on this program, fine. I don't think he's a bad guy. If he is willing to admit, all right, okay, the information was available, and either he was a lazy journalist or took part actively in the suppression of that information, fine. But you've got to start these conversations on good faith and saying, we didn't know. I know now. No, we did. That's history will judge you based on the information that was available, but you actively ignored or suppressed. And CNN and Chris Cuomo's show and Don Lemon, they were the worst offenders.
Yeah.
They were the worst offenders. People can change. I believe it. People can change. But you have to choose to change.
Watch Ladder with Crowder live Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern.